Welcome to Vital Minimum, philosophy and minimalism for men who refuse to live on autopilot. You wake up, go to work, come home, watch something on a screen, sleep, repeat. Weekend arrives. You kill time with empty entertainment. Monday starts the cycle again. And somewhere, alone in the silence, that question hits you. The one you keep trying to ignore. Is this it? Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Most men today live without real purpose. And it's not because purpose doesn't exist. It's because you're too busy with things that don't matter to discover what actually does matter. The math is brutal. If you live to 80 years, that's only 4,200 weeks. Look at the men around you. How many can clearly answer what they're building? How many have a mission that gets them out of bed with energy? The masculine purpose crisis isn't an individual psychological problem. It's a silent cultural epidemic that's destroying an entire generation of men.
You're being trained to be a consumer. Since childhood, they taught you to follow the script. Study to get a diploma, work to make money, buy to be happy. And then you hit 40 and realize you built someone else's life, not yours. The system works perfectly when you don't question it. You're given goals that sound important but feel empty. Career advancement that means nothing to you. Status symbols that don't actually represent your values. A lifestyle that looks successful from the outside while you're dying inside. The consequences of this directionless existence are devastating. First comes diffuse anxiety, that feeling that something's wrong but you can't name it. Then functional depression, where you execute your tasks on autopilot while something inside you dies a little each day. Then comes compensatory addiction, pornography, alcohol, games, overwork, anything to fill the void of meaning.
Philosophical authority, sharing profound truth. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps, said something revolutionary. Man doesn't primarily seek pleasure or power. Man seeks meaning. Frankl observed that in the camps, the men who had a clear purpose, something greater than themselves to live for, were the ones with the highest chance of survival. Not the physically strongest, those who had a why strong enough to endure any how. This isn't theory. This is data from the most extreme human conditions imaginable. When stripped of everything, family, possessions, dignity, freedom, the men who survived were those who maintained purpose. The doctor who needed to finish his research. The father who needed to reunite with his children. The teacher who needed to share his knowledge. What does this tell us? Your anxiety isn't a chemical imbalance requiring medication. It's your psyche screaming that you're living without meaning. It's an alarm system that something fundamental is missing. And no amount of distractions, achievements, or purchases will silence it, because it's not designed to be silenced. It's designed to wake you up.
Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I am going to do what I was born for?" The most powerful man in the ancient world didn't wake up thinking about pleasure or comfort. He woke up thinking about purpose, about duty, about contribution. He had access to any luxury imaginable, but chose philosophical discipline over indulgence. This is the masculine relationship with purpose that we've lost. Purpose isn't something you discover while watching motivational videos. Purpose is something you build through action, failure, and courage. Nobody's going to hand you your purpose gift-wrapped. You need to go out, experiment, fail, learn, and continue until you build something that makes sense for you.
Here's the method that will free you from this existential crisis. First, the ruthless inventory. Write down everything you do in a typical week. Absolutely everything. Work hours, commute, meals, entertainment, sleep, social media, every single activity. Now, the question that hurts. If you died tomorrow, which of these activities would have left something that matters? The answer will shock you. Probably 90% of your time is being wasted on things that build nothing significant. This isn't about productivity. This isn't about optimizing your schedule. This is about confronting the brutal truth that you're spending your finite life on infinite trivialities. Every hour scrolling social media is an hour you'll never get back. Every evening watching shows you'll forget is an evening stolen from building something real.
Second, identify your actual values, what you do repeatedly. The gap. You say family is important, but how much time are you really connected with them? Your real values aren't what you talk about. They're what you do repeatedly. Where your time and energy go, there your true values are. This is uncomfortable because it forces you to admit that your stated values and your lived values might be completely different. You claim to value health, but you haven't exercised in months. You claim to value growth, but you haven't read a book or learned a skill in years. You claim to value relationships, but you prioritize work over everyone. The gap between who you say you are and who you actually are, that gap is your purpose crisis manifesting. Purpose can only be built on authentic values, not borrowed ones, not values your parents wanted for you, not values society expects, values that genuinely resonate with who you are at your core.
Third, the deathbed question. Imagine yourself at 80 years old, at the end of your life, looking back. What kind of man do you want to have been? What legacy do you want to leave? Not generic answers, specific ones. And then work backward. If that's the man you want to have been, what actions do you need to start today? What needs to change right now? What do you need to start building this week? This exercise cuts through all the noise, because from the vantage point of death, nothing matters except what actually mattered. The job that stressed you out? Irrelevant. The argument with your brother? Trivial. The opinion of strangers? Laughable. What remains? The relationships you built, the character you developed, the contribution you made, the example you set. Purpose isn't found in the future. It's built in the present, one decision at a time, with your final day as the North Star.
Fourth, choose a battlefield. Purpose isn't abstract, it's specific. It's not do good in the world. It's build homes for homeless families in my city. It's not be better. It's master software engineering to create solutions that matter. Choose a specific field where you'll fight, build, contribute. That's your practical purpose. This specificity is crucial. Vague purpose is no purpose. I want to help people means nothing because it's too broad to act on. I want to help veterans transition to civilian careers is a battlefield. You can see it, you can measure it, you can start tomorrow. Your battlefield doesn't have to save the world. It has to matter to you. It has to align with your authentic values. It has to give you a reason to get out of bed with energy. And it has to be specific enough that you can actually do something about it today.
Fifth, radical commitment to imperfect action. You will never feel ready. Act with what you have. Start today. Clarity comes from action, not from infinite contemplation. This is where most men fail. They spend years preparing to start. They want to have everything figured out before taking the first step. But purpose isn't discovered through thinking, it's forged through doing. You don't think your way into a new way of acting, you act your way into a new way of thinking. Start wrong, start small, start scared, but start. The man who takes messy action today is infinitely ahead of the man who plans perfect action tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes for the planner. He's still preparing while the actor has already failed, learned, adjusted, and succeeded.
15% biological necessity. Listen to the message. Science confirms this. Having a sense of purpose is directly linked to longevity, mental health, and life satisfaction. A University of Michigan study followed 7,000 adults for 14 years and found that those with a strong sense of purpose had 15% lower chance of death. Purpose isn't an existential luxury, it's a biological necessity. When you have purpose, your body literally functions better. Lower cortisol levels, better immune response, improved cardiovascular health. Your brain releases dopamine, not from cheap thrills, but from meaningful progress. You sleep better because you're building something that matters, not running from something that doesn't. This explains why your anxiety won't go away with medication alone. You're not broken, you're purposeless. The anxiety is your body's intelligent response to a meaningless existence. It's trying to tell you something. Stop sedating the messenger. Listen to the message.
The transformation that happens when you live with clear purpose is profound. Diffuse anxiety disappears because you know what you're building. Decisions become simple. Does this serve my purpose? Yes? Do it. No? Eliminate it. And you develop real resilience because when you have a strong why, you can endure anyhow. You stop seeking validation from others because you're validated by your own progress. You stop comparing yourself because you're running your own race toward your own finish line. You stop feeling lost because you have a compass, your purpose, pointing north. This isn't about becoming someone else. This is about becoming who you actually are when you strip away all the borrowed goals and societal expectations. It's about aligning your daily actions with your deepest values. And that alignment, that integrity in the philosophical sense, creates peace that no external achievement ever could.
Here's your test of purpose. Can you describe in 2 sentences what you're building with your life? Can you explain why you wake up every day beyond paying bills? If you can't, you don't have an anxiety crisis. You have a purpose crisis. And no therapist, no medication will fix that. Only the courage to build something that matters. I'll give you a challenge. In the next 7 days, you'll do 3 things. First, eliminate 1 hour of passive consumption daily. Second, use that hour to experiment with something new that could connect to a purpose. Third,
talk face to face with a man you admire and ask, "How did you find your purpose?" The answer is simple, but not easy. You need to stop waiting for purpose to appear magically. Purpose lives at the intersection of what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you love. And discovering that intersection requires experimentation, failure, and time. If you have courage, start today. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, today. Take 1 hour you were going to waste and use it to take one step toward building something that matters. Because every day you postpone is a day you don't get back. The question that will change everything is, at the end of your life, will you regret more the things you tried and failed, or the things you never had courage to try? Because until you answer that question with brutal honesty and act accordingly, you're just another man living someone else's life following a script you didn't write. Until then, less is more.